Howdy folks, and welcome back to Jurassic World Evolution with the mighty Jingles. Now, if you recall, in our last episode we had a little bit of a problem when the island was hit by a tropical storm, which upset the Dilophosaurs a little, and they bust out of their enclosure right after I opened the emergency shelters and started om-nom-nomming on the guests. This is actually fine. Turns out the guests had insurance. Also, none of their relatives really liked them that much anyway.
A new contract just came in. I think it's doable. By you.
Entertainment contracts. But I've almost unlocked the first science mission.
Who doesn't want to have a little more of, well, anything? But money's a good start. Make this contract worth it, huh? See what I did there?
Shut up, Cabot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'd like to welcome our very first large... Wow, that was loud. Large carnivore to the park, the Ceratosaur. She is a bit of a badass. Now, it's perfectly safe introducing a large carnivore into the same enclosure as a bunch of small carnivores. They will coexist. Maybe not entirely peacefully, but you don't have to worry about the large carnivore eating the small carnivores. They might posture a little bit, but they will back down before any blood is spilled. Oh, hang on. Entertainment contract complete.
That contract. One word.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh god, somebody shoot me. I'm in agreement with Isaac. Oh, science mission unlocked. Alrighty then.
I have another opportunity. This one will be a challenge, as it involves a dinosaur in ill health.
Dangerous sounding.
No more dangerous, Dr. Malcolm, than our normal research here.
Listen carefully, did I hear something? Yes. I think that was the sound of me resting my case.
So that's our first top tip for the day. If you need to increase the variety of the dinosaurs in your park, mix large and small carnivores in the same pen.
I'm glad to see you overcame Dr. Malcolm's reservations. I don't know whether he is overly cautious or just looking for the chance to say I told you so. Maybe it's both. Regardless, I think that together we'll get this done.
Yes, Dr. Dewar, I'm feeling reasonably confident myself, since we just...
Okay, so as I mentioned before, we have a diseased animal coming to the park.
Can I get a word in
Get
here?
prepared for it. Let's get to work.
Right, so...
Did I hear this right? You're bringing a sick dinosaur to our facility?
I really hate this guy.
I'm gonna pray you know what you're doing, because I have no idea.
Aha! Research complete. Improved power upgrades. This is good. It's going to be especially useful on the next island, but more on that in a future episode. So, this is not actually the first time I've done this mission. Those of you who saw my very first Jurassic World Evolution video, where I very nearly screwed up the second stage of this mission in a pretty spectacular fashion. But more on that when we come to the second stage of the mission. The first stage of the mission involves taking possession of a sick Diplodocus and then researching a cure and curing it. And I know at this point that there's going to be somebody in the comments, as there was in the last video, telling me, Jingles, it's not pronounced Diplodocus, it's Diplodocus. Well, they call it Diplodocus here in Jurassic World Evolution, so if you have a problem with that, blame America. Okay. That's how they pronounce it here. It ain't my fault this time. Anyway, let's take possession of our sick dinosaur, shall we? One thing about this mission that doesn't seem particularly fair is the fact that they actually charge you $200,000. Right? You can't even start this mission unless you have at least $200,000 in the bank. They charge you $200,000 to deliver the sick dinosaur to you. I mean, who signed off on this business model? Yeah, we've got a sick dinosaur that we'd like you to cure. That'll be $200,000, please.
This is a side hustle that we should get behind.
Oh, hang on a second. That hipster arsehole Isaac is actually being useful for once. Random Entertainment Division mission just popped up. Ensure that no sick dinosaurs remain in the park. Well, I'm doing that anyway. I mean, that's the Science Division mission. I certainly don't mind being paid twice for doing the same thing. Also, I very nearly have a park rating of 3 stars here, and the introduction of the Diplodocus here may tip it over the 3-star rating, which would be another Entertainment Division mission complete.
To cure this animal, we'll need to do research. Let's see if we can identify the extent of the problem and isolate it.
And we have actually done
My
it.
understanding is that we have a diseased animal in the park, and you and Dr. Dewar are trying to find a cure. I don't approve. Then, no one asked me.
You noticed that, did you?
However, I just remind you to keep that dinosaur away from the rest of our animals, in case whatever it has is contagious.
Actually, he does raise a fairly good point. But I don't care for now, because we've just reached a 3-star island rating, there's an entertainment division meeting complete, and we have unlocked the next island, Isla de Caño. But we're not going there just yet.
If you like a challenge, and I mean, who doesn't? Well, I don't. But you, this place sounds perfect for you. Isla de Caño.
Research complete. Heavy steel fences. Let's go and check up on the Diplodocus. Could use more grassland. Alright, let's get rid of some of the trees. While we're working on the cure, let's ensure that it's at least comfortable. Nope, more grassland. Too much forest. Alright, let's erase some of them. And we're good. And it doesn't mind being alone either. It's quite happy with the social arrangements. So at this point, we're really just waiting on the cure. I think we need to subject those eggheads in the lab to a bit of salt mine discipline. Get their asses cracking. While we're waiting, since I do have the cash, we'll go ahead and upgrade the fences around the carnivore enclosure to heavy steel. They can still break out. It'll just take them a bit longer. And we're going to have to wait for some of the... it's probably the Dilophosaurs to get away from the fence over on the right-hand side before we can upgrade. There we go. And I think we're done. Research complete. And there's the parasite cure. So, let's go ahead and send the rangers over to immunise that poor, sick Diplodocus. This, of course, is going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Because we also have an entertainment... oh, crap, the disease has spread. Okay. Let's get the dot gun out.
Approaching asset.
Medicate the Sinoceratops.
Asset identified.
And the Diplodocus. She seems a bit upset. Hold still. It's for your own good. Yeah, it's going to take a couple of doses. Forward, driver. I want to hit them with my sword. Hey!
I can't thank you enough.
Park
Which means I'm
rating
not gonna
of
cry.
3 stars maintained. 1 entertainment division contract complete. And soon, another one. No dinosaurs remaining with disease, which will also complete the science mission. Let's get that sick dino medicated. Oh, buggeration. Is another one infected? Is this disease spreading faster than I can medicate it out of existence? It's kind of weird because the marker at the top of the screen is saying I have 2 infected dinosaurs, but the mission tracker is saying only 1? I don't know. Well, I know the Diplodocus is still sick, so let's get the science mission done.
Confirming asset.
And it's done. Wait, no, that's the
Watching you work?
entertainment?
Now, that's what I call entertainment.
Isaac, you do know that that Sinoceratops over there is still diseased, but you're giving me the research speed reward anyway. Okay, I'm not going to argue. I'm happy to call your competence into question, but I'm certainly not going to argue.
Medication administered.
And we are done. Disease outbreak controlled. However, phase 2 of the science mission is still in progress. We now have a sick Metriocanthosaurus arriving.
We worked so well together in the past, I thought I'd give you a chance to do it again. Get in on this one.
You know, this is actually quite doable. A Dilophosaur, Velociraptor, and an Ankylosaurus. However, we can't do it right now, because it's going to cancel the science mission. So we're going to keep that particular mission for Isaac the Arsehole in our back pocket, and apply the research speed upgrade that he just preemptively gave us to our research centre. Now, phase 2 of this science mission is where I very, very nearly screwed things up in spectacular fashion the first time around. We have a sick Metriocanthosaurus on its way to the park, and it's arriving soon. The first time I did this mission, I didn't know whether a Metriocanthosaurus swam in the ocean, swung from the trees, or arrived in a taxi. I just thought, well, it's a dinosaur. And I put it down in the herbivore enclosure. Yeah, the Metriocanthosaurus is a large carnivore. That didn't work out too well for my herbivores. Well, certainly not for my medium or small herbivores. It managed to chow down on a couple of chicken lizards, and things were looking pretty dicey for the Sinoceratops and Triceratops as well until I managed to get it tranquilized and dumped into the carnivore enclosure. But it proved to be a fairly expensive mistake. And that introduces us to top tip number 2 for today's video. You can put a large carnivore in the same pen as a large herbivore, like the Diplodocus, and they'll be perfectly fine. You can put small carnivores in the same enclosure as medium and large herbivores, and they'll be perfectly fine. It's really only the small herbivores, like the chicken lizards, that are pretty much permanently on the menu for all of the carnivores, but you can mix and match herbivores and carnivores of different sizes and increase the variety of your park without having to build separate enclosures for each type of dinosaur. So there is a sick Metriocanthosaurus on the way, and it's arriving in less than 40 seconds, but I'm not ready for it. What do you mean, Jingles? Just put it in the carnivore enclosure. Well, I could do that, but then a fight would break out between the sick Metriocanthosaurus and the other large carnivore that I've just released into the carnivore enclosure. We have a Ceratosaurus in there. Now, while a Ceratosaurus will quite happily coexist with, I think, up to 2 other Ceratosaurs in the same enclosure, providing it's big enough and they have space to roam, they won't coexist peacefully with other large carnivore species. So I need to create a separate enclosure for the sick Metriocanthosaurus. So the fence is complete. It's a reasonably sized enclosure. We've got some gates in there so the rangers can actually get access to this new carnivore enclosure and medicate our sick guest. I'm busy building a Hammond creation lab so I can more easily introduce new dinosaurs into this enclosure, and we're also facilitating construction of another power plant to make sure that I actually have enough power to run this whole thing. Yeah, what the hell. Put it down there.
Picking up asset.
Okay, the creation lab's complete. It's not connected to a path. We are going to need some water. I think we're just about ready. Let's make sure there's some food in there for it. I'll put the food down here because I'm going to put a viewing enclosure right there, which is also going to need power and a path connection. So while the Metriocanthosaurus is on the way, because part of the mission is also to ensure that it can feed itself and it isn't going to die of thirst. So we've taken care of that. It's got food, it's got water. And while we're waiting for it to actually arrive, and the sky crane is actually lowering it into position right now, we're going to go ahead and provide path access to the viewing enclosure, the creation lab, and the new power station. We may also need to put down a power substation just to ensure that everything is connected to the electrical grid. We now have another sick dinosaur in the park, but I don't have to worry about it infecting anything else because it's the only dinosaur in that enclosure. Oh, hang on.
I know you've handled work like this in the past, so this contract should be right up your alley.
Security contract to unearth a carnivore fossil. Well, I'll accept that because I'm doing that anyway.
If you ever want to build a situation where these animals will truly trust you, then there are times when you have to let them run free, even when that means they want to kill. Because that's what they need to do.
Yeah, nobody's listening to your opinion, Owen. We've all watched Jurassic World. Right. We have good news, by the way. The Metriocanthosaurus is suffering from exactly the same disease that the Diplodocus was afflicted with, and we've already researched the cure for that, so it's just a question of notifying a ranger team to come over and zap it full of medical goodness.
Task received.
And that should be it. Just make sure she's happy with the environment. Yep, comfort level 100%, enough grassland, enough forest, happy with the population, and doesn't require any company. Well, doesn't require any company of the same species. We're going to be putting more dinosaurs in this enclosure. I'm not having a place this size just for one Metriacanthosaurus. This is why we have the Hammond Creation Lab. We're going to be introducing new dinosaurs because we need that 5-star park rating. And I'm not letting all of that real estate go to waste. But for now, we need to medicate our sick guest. This time around, I'm just letting the rangers get on with it while I upgrade the Creation Lab. And there it is. So what does this give us? $1.5 million and a second research team.
Not only can we bring them back to life, but we can bring them back to health. I have the latest lab results. The dinosaurs are cured. Disease-free. That's a job well done.
Yes, it was really, wasn't it? But there's no need to thank me. I don't do this for thanks, I do this for cash. So what else are we going to put in this enclosure? We don't actually have a huge amount of options. We can't put any medium herbivores in there, like the Ankylosaurus or the Corythosaurus, the Sinoceratops, the Triceratops, because the Metriacanthosaurus will eat them. Same goes for the small herbivores, like the chicken lizards. I can't put any large herbivores or giant herbivores in there because I don't have access to those fossils. I mean, yes, I've got one Diplodocus, but that was as a result of a mission. I can't actually incubate any of them yet. Similarly, I can't put other Metriacanthosaurs in that enclosure for exactly the same reason as the Diplodocus. Putting a Ceratosaur in there is out of the question because they just rip each other's throats out, which basically narrows it down to small carnivores. I only have access to 2 different types of small carnivores at the moment, and I already have Dilophosaurs in the park in the same enclosure as the Ceratosaur. I could put more Dilophosaurs into this enclosure, but I want to increase the variety of the dinosaurs in my park, so that pretty much means I'm going to have to start breeding Velociraptors. And by a startling coincidence, Isaac wants me to do exactly that.
Body count. All sorts of ways you can take that phrase, especially here on the islands. But I'm talking about warm bodies in the park, you know? I guess we could say head count, but I'm not sure that's really any better. Attendance numbers then.
Alright, Isaac. We're in.
You're in? Cool, cool. Okay, we'll start at the beginning. New dinos. Incubate them, hatch them, and house them. You know the drill.
Hey, everybody, we're putting on a show. It's going to be a spectacle hundreds of millions of years in the making. Sorry you may not survive.
I'm really not feeling the love from Dr. Malcolm. He's such a Debbie Downer. Anyway, new mission. Introduce a Dilophosaur, an Ankylosaur, and a Velociraptor into the park. Sounds pretty simple. Well, it is, and it isn't. I can introduce another Dilophosaur into the first carnivore enclosure, no problem. I'm pretty sure the population constraints and the social constraints with the other group of Dilophosaurs will be fine. I'm not sure about an Ankylosaur. I can't remember if a single Ankylosaur will be happy on its own in an enclosure with a bunch of other herbivores, or whether it's going to require other Ankylosaurs for company. The problem, unsurprisingly, is probably going to be with the Velociraptors. I've got success rate 2.0 modules in all of my Hammond Creation Labs, which is great. Each one gives me a 20% boost to the viability of any eggs they incubate. Unfortunately, with all 3 slots occupied with success rate modules, that means I can only incubate 2 dinosaurs at a time in each lab. And I might need 3 Velociraptors minimum in the same enclosure to guarantee that they don't start getting upset due to lack of company and start battering the fences down and tearing guests limb from limb. And while I'm sure you'd all find that incredibly amusing, it can get expensive. That means I have to sacrifice one of the success rate modules to put a hatchery upgrade in there, so I can incubate more than 2 Velociraptors at the same time. And that means with only a 40% boost to the viability of any eggs that I incubate, I must, at the bare minimum, get 60% of the Velociraptor genome complete before I can even start completing this mission. Oh, do you like what I've done with the place, by the way? We've got a new hotel, and we built a monorail. Guests can actually view the dinosaurs from the monorails, so it's not only better access to the various different facilities around the park, but it also increases the visibility of the dinosaurs. They're not quite happy with the food service down here in the fast food joint. Now you can easily fix this by simply employing more staff. It's not that they don't like the food, it's the level of service. They're standing in line too long to get fed. So employ more staff, the guests become more happy. Of course, employing more staff can become more expensive, can increase your running costs. If that's the case and you're actually losing money, then simply offer a more expensive dish. Providing you have enough guests in your park to satisfy the demand, you'll be absolutely fine. I'm not really concerned about running a profit with my fast food joints, I just don't want to be making a loss. More importantly, I want the guests to be happy. They're still not quite happy with the food service over here, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade from Dino Dish to Dino Feast. And it's a bigger meal, so we can also sell it for more. And let's see. Yep, the guests are now entirely happy with the level of food service provided across the entire park. Right, let's get this mission done. First, we're going to incubate a Dilophosaurus. And this is the easy part. Now, I don't actually have 100% of the Dilophosaurus genetic code yet, but I have enough that I can afford to be a bit extravagant with its genetic modifications in order to boost its star rating. This is not cheap, however. This one Dilophosaur is costing me over $500,000, but the park's profit margin is actually pretty healthy. And as I keep introducing new dinosaurs into the park, it's only going to go up, so I can afford it. And a brand new baby Dilophosaur is entirely happy with its surroundings, so that's one down, two to go. Next, the Ankylosaurus. Actually, the Ankylosauri, or Sauruses, or whatever. I'm going to release two of them, just to be on the safe side. This may create additional problems, however. You see, I didn't know how many Ankylosaurs it takes to create a stable social group. It turns out, an Ankylosaur is entirely happy being the only Ankylosaur in the enclosure, so I don't actually need two of them. It doesn't mind being in an enclosure with another Ankylosaur or two, but it's a bit fussy about the population limit of the other dinosaurs in its enclosure. If I release one more dinosaur into this pen...
You and I make a heck of a team.
Oh, contract complete. And I've now unlocked access to the Styracosaurus fossil record, so that's good. But if I release that second Ankylosaur into this enclosure, they're both going to be unhappy because there are now too many other dinosaurs for them to be comfortable. So I'm going to have to get rid of something. And I don't really want to get rid of something with a high star rating, so that means it's bad news for one of the chicken lizards. Ah, Struthiomimus. Too young to die, too dumb to live. Actually, it is kind of old as well. This was the first dinosaur introduced into this park. So it's probably due to die of old age before too long anyway, so this isn't really that much of a loss. And look on the bright side. Sure, it's bad news for the Struthiomimus, but it's good news for Kentucky Fried Chicken. You never know what's in those nuggets, do you? Well, now you do. Okay, let's
En route to collect the asset.
let's sell this Struthiomimus to Colonel Sanders. $20,000. Cheap bastard. Right, it's gone. Now we should be able to release. Ooh, I don't know. Well, it should be fine. We've gotten rid of. Actually, we haven't yet gotten rid of one dinosaur, but it's on the way. So let's go and release the second Ankylosaurus. And here she is. Come on, get rid of that chicken lizard faster. Yeah, we're good. Right, two down, one to go. The Velociraptor. Okay, so I overestimated exactly how many Ankylosaurs I needed to fulfill the contract, but I lost a Struthiomimus, I gained another Ankylosaur. It's all good. With Velociraptors, you can't afford to get it wrong. I have 81% of the raptor genome, so again I can afford to get a bit creative, and I have nearly $5 million, so... well, they're already getting a bit expensive. $700,000? Yeah, I think that'll do. What I've had to do with this creation lab is I've had to strip out one of the success modules to put a hatching bay upgrade in there. Which is kind of good and kind of bad. It means I can incubate 3 raptors at the same time. which I think is the bare minimum that you need in an enclosure for a stable social group of raptors. God, I really hope it isn't 4, because if it is, something's going to die. You see, the problem with raptors is that their comfort threshold is so small. If you introduce a raptor into an enclosure and there's something in there it doesn't like, you do not have a lot of time to fix it before it gets pissed off enough that it starts breaking down fences and killing things. So, for example, if I'd put one ankylosaur into the herbivore enclosure and then found out that actually it needs 2 for a stable social group, I would have had enough time to just incubate another ankylosaur before the first one started getting a bit, upset. You don't get that kind of time with a velociraptor. When they start getting upset, they get upset really quickly. Well, Isaac seems happy with me. Yay, great, my parents will be so proud of me. I've got a mission now from George in the security division to take a photo of a dinosaur worth $5,000. Well, that should be relatively simple. Like that.
I myself have dabbled in photography. Nothing as good as this, mind you.
Contract complete. Watch the birdie. $100,000.
You've captured some outstanding images. Enough to complete the contract.
And a little bit of reputation with the security division, which if you have a look at the bottom right corner of the screen, you'll see is not looking too good actually. I'm running a risk that disgruntled members of the security division are going to start sabotaging the park because they don't feel like the management, i.e. me, is giving them the respect that they deserve. And I'm about to introduce 3 velociraptors into the park, so, you know, I could quite happily live with my park being a sabotage-free zone.
You can help with this, and you should.
Well, that's an easy enough contract to fulfill. Apply an extraction speed upgrade to my fossil centre. And it'll keep me in the good books of the science division as well.
I owe you for this, and I won't forget it.
An easy $128,000 and, oh, more research complete. But thank you for the reminder, Dr. Dewar. I hadn't realised that I hadn't actually upgraded my fossil centre, so we'll go ahead and do that while we're here. And now, it's time to release our first velociraptor. Fingers crossed that this doesn't go horribly and spectacularly wrong, and let's get the other 2 out of the creation lab and into the enclosure as quickly as possible to ensure that they all stay happy.
There's a theory that given enough time, anything, in fact, all things, will happen.
Wait,
Like
what?
the advancement that you've achieved.
What?
Not to take away from your achievement, but
Shut
to
up, Jeff
provide,
Goldblum. What went wrong?
Context.
Get the rangers out. It looks like we've lost power.
We need to get our numbers up. Give them what they want.
Quantity and
Oh, will
quality.
you 2 shut up?
Mostly quantity.
Get out of the way, plebs. I've got power stations to reboot.
Damn. Okay, we got a problem.
You think?
The island's power grid is down. It's time to run
Yeah, shut up, Isaac. I'm not taking advice on rebooting power stations from the guy whose primary job is looking after the Twitter feed, alright? Nothing personal, but you're a dick. Shut up.
This is Lambert. Looks like this crisis was man-made.
Oh, great.
Sabotage. Appears to be. Any enemies come to mind?
Enemies, rivals, profiteers, the list is endless.
Yep, indeed it is.
Let's get the guests
I'll see
indoors,
what I can discover. Lambert out.
just in case something else goes horribly wrong. I mean, they're not actually at any risk right now because there's nothing safety related in the park that relies on the power grid being up. But better safe than sorry. The first stage of the mission's complete. Now we have to ensure that each dinosaur remains housed in a secure enclosure, well, for another 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So it's already been running. Okay, so this isn't exactly good, but it's not that bad. It could have been a lot worse. If you trigger this mission in the middle of a storm, or if there's a storm warning up, and you lose your power grid, you also lose your storm defense stations. And with no storm defense stations, a storm can easily knock fences down, and that would be very bad. So, at this stage of the game, do not trigger this stage of the mission if there's even the slightest hint of bad weather. Come on. let's get those other raptors out.
Look, raptors get a bad rap because people don't understand that they are, and always will be, alpha predators. Our job is to help them, the raptors, understand that we are as well.
Okay, that's 2 raptors. And, yeah, okay, that's actually quite good. They have food, they have water, they're safely enclosed, they're happy with the mix of grassland and forest, and just 2 raptors is a big enough social group. 3 would be better, of course, because, well, you know, if something happens to one of them and you only have 2, you've got a very, very unhappy surviving raptor. And you'll never be able to breed another one in time to stop the surviving one from going loco due to lack of company. So 2 is the bare minimum that you need. Which means that technically you don't have to swap out a creation lab hatchery module in order to get 3 of them into the park at the same time. You can get away with 2. But I like to have a little bit of a margin for error when it comes to dealing with velociraptors. 3 is safer, in case anything happens to one of them. Trust me, you're going to want all of the margin for error that you can possibly handle when it comes to dealing with those little bastards. Okay, everything seems to be under control. We'll let the guests out. Oh, you've got to be shitting me. Yeah, of course there's a storm incoming. I'll let the guests out, so naturally there's now a storm incoming. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we apologise for the inconvenience, but if all you plebs could get back into the dungeons, we'll be sure to let you out when it's safe. Right, okay, how is my storm defense coverage? It's pretty good, but it could be better. The storm defense stations don't actually take very long to construct, so I can... Well, I'm not going to get it down in time for the storm, but it should be constructed before the storm blows itself out. Now, I just hope that this is going to be a mild storm, and I don't suffer massive damage to the park's structures. Because I only have to keep the dinosaurs enclosed for another 45 seconds to complete this mission. I mean, seriously, what were the chances of that happening? Well, if it was me, about 100%. These storms on Isla Muerte, by the way, are nothing. Wait until you see the storms on Isla Tacaño. Oh boy. Yeah. All that coming up on the next island. Come on. 18 seconds. 18 seconds and we're done. 10 seconds. Isaac, get ready to be happy. 5 seconds. Yeah, we're done. No damage to the park structures yet. And there it is. Oh, and now the buildings are getting damaged. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the mission is complete. Isaac? Isaac? Isaac, wake up. Isaac, stop browsing Pornhub during working hours. The mission is... Seriously? There it is, yes! Mission complete. $1.5 million. And the step skin pattern is now available for the dinosaurs in the park.
We have many enemies. People, corporations, entities that will stop at nothing to obtain the knowledge and technology we possess. Look, not everyone likes me. Some find me cold and humorless. But they don't know what I know.
It's not what Dr. Wu knows, but what he plans to do with that knowledge that sometimes concerns me.
Seriously, Jeff Goldblum, you are such a Debbie Downer sometimes. Anyway, mission complete. Just wait for the storm to blow out and... Actually, let's not release the guests just yet. I can hear somebody bashing on a fence. Oh, well, what a surprise. It's the Velociraptors. Right, let's get the ACU over there and trank that son of a bitch. Yeah, I see you. Wait. That's the one we're tranking. But I can hear something else battering at a fence. Oh, now there's a disease in the park as well. Well, that's just fantastic. Who's attacking the fence? Oh, look, it's a... Yeah, big surprise. Right. The comfort level is in the blue, but they're still hammering the fence down. And are those guests? Why are there still guests running around in the park? Can you not hear the sirens? What is wrong with these plebs? Oh my god, now the Metrocanthosaurus is going to get out. We've got the... And the mobile Happy Meals are still strolling around taking selfies in front of the fence with the Velociraptor chewing on the... you know, some people are just too stupid to live. Seriously, how about we just take all the warning labels off everything for a year, just as a trial run? We'll just take all of the stickers off plastic bags that say caution not to be used as a head covering. You know, things like that. And then after a year, we'll just run IQ tests on the survivors and we'll see how much the average human intelligence level has actually gone up by. I really don't see the downside. I'm sure the world in general wouldn't miss them, and I could certainly do with a few less idiots wandering around the park posting pictures on Snapchat in the middle of a full-blown security alert. It's just so inconsiderate. Look what they've done to my park star rating. Seriously, some people only think of themselves. On the bright side, these blithering idiots do have such short attention spans that, well, once I let them out of the shelters... I should probably have built more shelters. But once I let them out of the shelters, and the fence breaches have been fixed, and the Velociraptors have all calmed down, that they'll be right back to stuffing their faces full of dino bites and buying... My mom went to Jurassic Park and all she got me was this crummy t-shirts at the gift shop within minutes. And hopefully we should be well on the way, once I let all the plebs out of the basement, to get the park's overall rating back up to the 4 stars that it was before this disaster happened. And then we can focus on completing this island's security mission, which is a bit on the tricky side. And we're going to be doing it in the next video. In the meantime, I hope you've all been having a great weekend. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And as always, take care. And I'll catch you next time.